My name is XANTHE and I am a graphic designer and illustrator, and I make videos every single week about illustration and design and the process behind both those things. So I know a lot of people have come over from Liam's channel and also from Dina's channel. Hello, if you're both watching. So I just thought I'd do a little bit of an introduction to explain who you've subscribed to, because otherwise you'll be like, what, who, why, So hello. Today, to make up for the fact that I didn't do a video last week, I thought I would do a challenge that is blimmin' huge. Today, I'm challenging myself to create a comic in 5 hours. Now, 5 hours sounds like a long time, however, this is for me to come up with the idea for the comic, to write the comic, to produce the layout of the comic, and to illustrate and colour it. So if you put all of those tasks together, 5 hours isn't very long. But you're probably thinking, oh, well, you're an illustrator and designer, so I'm sure you've made comics before. No, I haven't actually made a comic at all in my adult life. I've read comics, so I used to read Peanuts and Garfield, and I used to dabble in like superhero comics, so like Marvel and that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually making one, I don't think I've made one since I was a kid. So, however, I love to throw myself into the deep end and to try and develop new skills, so I thought today I would design a comic. A few rules before I start. So I'm going to break up my time into half an hour and hourly chunks, just so it seems a little bit more obtainable and a little bit more manageable. So that may change once I'm in the process, but that's what I've planned out in my head already. Secondly, this comic is not going to be the best comic in the world, and that's the whole point of this exercise. So I've become a huge perfectionist, and when it comes to illustration or design, I will always meet a deadline, but there's always something else that I want to do or to add to my work, and it usually gets me down because the perfectionist in me hasn't quite let go of that project yet. So I need to train myself to see the good in finished work, even if it's not quite at the standard that I've got it in my head. So that's the whole reason. You may know that I am designing and illustrating a picture book at the moment. So I've wanted to break into the picture book industry for years now, and it's kind of been my dream to illustrate and write a picture book of my own. So that's a goal that I'm working towards, and I'm planning to do some videos in the near future where I'm working on my own picture book, and to kind of show you the highs and lows of that process and how I'm going about that process, because again, very new to it, but yeah, I'm kind of learning on the job. So I thought with this is like a mini picture book in a way, and you have to get the key parts of the story out just visually. So I thought this would be quite a good exercise to become quite loose and to try and break up the story into very kind of simplified chunks that are easy to understand and look at. Okay, so I guess I should get on with it and just go ahead and start. So to begin with, I'm going to start brainstorming and trying to find a story or what I want this to be about. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention with the area that I wanted my story to be in, or my comic to be in, it's magical realism. So magical realism is a genre that I actually came across the name of quite recently, and I've realised that a lot of the stories that I write are usually within the realm of magical realism. So magical realism, for those of you who don't know, basically means you take something that's magical or abnormal and doesn't belong in the real world, and you stick it in a real life situation or environment. Okay, so I've just stuck in my little mind map, and I thought I'd take you through some of the ideas that I've had and what direction I'm thinking of going in for this comic. So a few ideas I've got on here are just the first things that came into my head. Because this exercise was such a short one, I just needed to get down exactly what I was thinking, just to be very objective and specific about what I was writing down. So I have got a gardener who has evil plants / is afraid of plants. So here I was trying to think about concepts where you have a noun or a profession and then you take something that they should be good at or should like and you twist it round. For instance, like an astronaut who's afraid of heights or something like that. Other than that, I've written down haunted bus, but I think that's a really weird idea and not really something that I want to visit, because again, it's not Halloween or anything like that, so I think that might be a bit overcomplicated. This one is monster living at a school. Again, first thing that popped into my head, but I think that, again, that has sort of been done quite a lot, and it's not like my best idea, so I didn't like it too much. Next, I've written down a painter who could go into his paintings. So with this, I was trying to think about Mary Poppins, where they all go into a painting and they have a jolly old time. Also, as an artist, whenever I draw an illustration, and this is gonna make me sound absolutely bonkers, but whenever I draw an illustration, I tend to think of them as like physical, living, breathing things, and think about what they'd be like in the real world. So for instance, like, it wouldn't surprise me if I bumped into a few of my characters at the supermarket, just because in my head, like, they're living their life. Just, do you know what I mean? Does that sound mad? I feel like that sounds mad. I just feel like I've spent a long time with my characters, and when you're an artist you spend a long time on a drawing, so I thought that could be a fun concept of like a painter or an artist meeting their artwork, but I think that's a bit cliche and a bit weird. So anyway, moving on. Next up, we have a witch living in a zoo, which I think is such a cool idea, and I want to revisit that later on down the line, but I want it to be a longer comic. Yeah, I actually want to spend time with that idea, so not gonna do it. And the final one, which I think is the one that I'm gonna go with, is someone deluded / accidental success. So this is my least specific idea, but it's one that I have the most excitement about. So when I say someone deluded / accidental success, what I'm thinking is having like someone who has just gone about life being successful, but accidentally. They haven't got where they are because of any merit of their own. It's other things that have been going wrong for other people that have equaled this person's success. And I kind of have this idea of like a self-centered kind of, I mean, I love Elvis Presley and I'm not calling him self-centered at all because he is my, but yeah, people like Elvis Presley or for instance in Coco, Ernesto de la Cruz. Yeah, I'm just thinking someone who's very narcissistic, very vain, but also pretty harmless, like just a person that's going about their life loving themselves and thinking they're the centre of the universe. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, I just had an idea. Okay, I need to write this down. I need to write this down. Okay, so this is cool to have an idea on the camera. That's fun. Okay, so I've got an idea that if they believe they're like the centre of the universe, maybe all of their God, I'm so excited. Anyway, okay, maybe all of their narcissism and all of their big-headedness has actually gone to their head. So they either have like a humongous head and then like, please ignore my drawing. So like humongous head, tiny body, or perhaps it's not their head that's become big, it's their hair, and the person who's big-headed or like narcissistic is a guy who really likes like swooshing his hair. I'm thinking, okay, so at the moment I'm thinking kind of the vibe of Prince Charming in Shrek, and you know when he kind of like sweeps his hair and is like loves himself and is like poses in the mirror, and so maybe it's like this guy with, again, such bad drawing, please, this is not my quality of drawing, this is just me like so maybe he's got like a normal size head, big body, don't know yet, and then all of this stuff is like the world. Again, wow 3 years at art school. Okay, cool. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try and sketch out this idea, come up with a character and some character designs of this guy, and go from there. Oh! Okay, so I've just been drawing and I've come up with a few character designs, so let's have a look. Yeah, I was thinking instead of like the world being in his head or like his hair being a planet, maybe it's his hair is the galaxy, but yeah, I don't know, it's hard to come up with a story now, but I feel quite invested to this character. And again, because it's such a short time scale, I don't want to overdevelop him because it needs to be like a simplistic story and can't have anything with like too many layers. I've only spent half an hour doing these sketches and I've only spent an hour so far on everything together. So I think I'm going to spend another half an hour doing some more character design sketches and try and produce this character. Also, I've come up with a bit of a ridiculous name, which I think could work quite well, but Mr. Galaxy Hair? I think that could be really funny. And again, I want this to be a humorous kind of funny tone of voice, a bit tongue-in-cheek. And I feel like Mr. Galaxy Hair is such a ridiculous title, but it does what it says on the tin. I just want something a little bit silly, and I feel like that's silly. And like Mr. Galaxy would work, but I think Mr. Galaxy Hair, to make it more specific, would just bring a bit more humour to it. Am I going mad? I think I'm going mad. I'm really enjoying this process, can you tell? Right. Okay, so I need to carry on because time is a-ticking. So I've just drawn out a few character design sketches and I'm super happy with them. So again, I've kept to the kind of tiny legs and then a big bust, or you can call it a bust, yeah, like a big torso, there we go. And just huge amounts of hair. So I want him to have, I've kind of given him a very high fringe as if he's already swept over, and then it all flows and then there's a tiny bit flowing at the back. But I also wanted it to be so whenever he's standing straight on, you always kind of have the silhouette of hair. And I think the swooshing of hair or the sweeping of hair could be really nice within the actual layout of the comic. So that's something that I'm going to try and tie in. A few minutes ago, right at the end of my character design, I just wrote down a few notes in my notebook. Nothing that exciting, but yeah, so I wrote, meet Mr. Galaxy Hair, an eccentric narcissist whose vain nature has gone literally straight to his head, and then ... or in this case, his hair. Again, it's ridiculous, but I'm quite liking it. I also started to look at a few reference images for comics. So I want this to be a one-page comic, so it's nothing too complicated. Yeah, so usually it starts with a logo at the top. So that's where I could put my Mr. Galaxy Hair and then have him kind of standing. And yeah, I think I've got this. I just need to come up with some form of story now. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so I am going to get to writing some copy, and then once that's done, I am going to go on my laptop and actually start drafting this up. So I've just spent the last 20 minutes writing some copy, and I thought of a funny circumstance or a funny instance that I could use for this comic would be like the adventures of Mr. Galaxy Hair, and this would almost be like episode 1, and the idea would be that Mr. Galaxy Hair has entered himself into a pageant like Mr. Universe or something like that, and the judges aren't actually that impressed with him at all. They're just kind of like, oh well, there's better here. You know, you normally have in a pageant, not that I've ever been in a pageant, but I've watched quite a few like pageant reality TV shows. But you know, you normally have like an act or that special talent. Well, his special talent would be sweeping his hair and just smiling. And I thought that when he sweeped his hair, what if his hair had this kind of like black hole quality to it, so it absorbed whatever was in its path. So kind of floating in his hair is like all the hairbrushes he's used, all the mirrors, maybe people. That could be a bit like morbid, kind of black comedy, but that could be quite funny. And yeah, his hair just absorbs all the pageant contestants, and as a result he wins the pageant because there's no other contestants anymore. So that's the idea, and yeah, cool. I guess now I just have to make it and try and find like a good way of laying it out. So wish me luck. Right, so I've got 2 hours to go on this challenge, and I've got my character design, got my sketches, got my story, and I've just been drafting up a layout on my laptop now. So as you would have seen, you probably would have seen the time lapse and everything of me trying to put things together, and different forms of layout. With this layout, as I was saying, I want it to be his hair is a large part of the composition, and that flows or makes your eye travel down to the next box or the next section. Yeah, that's what I've been playing with and trying to almost number the boxes and then see if there's a way to sort of diagonally take your eye across or do whatever. So that's been working out quite well, I think, and I've now finally got a layout that I'm happy with. So now I am going to start drawing out the actual scenes, because I think that is definitely beneficial. And then after that I'm going to colour in the environments, do something very simplistic, probably like block colours and just some very simple block shapes. And then after that I need to colour in Mr. Galaxy hair and try and find a way of dealing with that. So yeah. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay, so it is exactly 50 minutes later now, and I have been colouring in the environments and drawing out the scenes. So a few things I had to switch around, or there were like parts of the scenes I had to take out just because they weren't quite working compositionally, or there was too much going on in the story. So yeah, as I said, I've still got a lot to do, and I think I'm just going to get on with the colouring and the actual making of it, and then I'll come back to you at the end because this is long. Oh my goodness. 5 hours. I've just been working for 5 hours. Okay, so I managed to complete my comic. really proud of myself. This is such a cool challenge. If you want to try and develop your skills and maybe try and practice working quicker, giving yourself quite a kind of strict deadline and breaking your time up, and then like reprioritizing as you go, this is a great exercise for it. And also at the end of this exercise you have something pretty cool that I don't think I would have made if I had more time to think about it, or like more time to do it. So because you have to be so quick with everything going on and have to make sort of very quick decisions, it actually means that it's a bit more experimental and your inhibitions go out the window. So yeah, I never would have made this if it wasn't for this challenge, so I would highly recommend it. I really hope you enjoyed watching this, and thank you so much for sitting all the way through this. If you have got to the end, like, that's awesome, and I really hope that you may have learned something or be inspired to create your own comic. Tell me what you think about Mr. Galaxy here. Would you like to see any more issues of his fun adventures, or are you more like, maybe he should just stay in your sketchbook, XANTHE, like a little bit weird? Just let me know what you think. I would love to know your opinions and any thoughts, or like any other stories he could appear in. That could be a fun thing to do. Don't forget to give this a like and subscribe, and if you want to turn on that notification bell, then you get notified every time I upload. So I know that a couple of people have told me that my videos have not been going in their softbox, which is super frustrating because I spend a long time making them. So if you want to actually hear when I've got something out, click that little bell, ding that bell. But it's up to you, do whatever. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye! I feel like I've just given my brain a workout with everything I've been up to. Gosh, I don't even drink coffee, but I feel like I need a coffee.